Hello, friends. So I figured that it would be good to make a video that kind of gives a little summary, a little update. And I want to probably maybe do this yearly about basically what was the title I thought of? Maggasekha, the state of Maggasekha, 2023, the state of Maggasekha, Colorado, and the Nomad life. So it's just kind of giving a little update, a little summary, and my thoughts on what's going on with myself and Maggasekha and things these days. So it's been an interesting, this March, right now it's the end of January. So in about 2 months, it'll be 3 years that I've been essentially a nomad. It was 2020, March, the lockdowns were just about to happen. And I wanted to just kind of be able to take a break a couple months away from Bhavana. And then so I was out, I left right before the lockdowns really started getting rough, like really strict. And then a month or two later, a couple of months later, I figured I'd, message and see about coming back and do a quarantine and to get back into the bhavana. And I was told, well, don't come back until about a year. I said, okay, well, I guess I'm a nomad now. And, at first I was a bit scared because I was like, well, where am I going to go? Who am I going to stay with? What's going on? All these things. And the first couple of years actually worked out pretty good. I got into a nice little rhythm of staying a month here, 2 months here, and it was just a nice cycle. It was kind of easy. It's like my initial fears were kind of like, oh, okay, it's not so bad. I can do this. And I got to stay on a farm for about 4 or 5 months total over the 2 years. Got to stay with my good friends, the Indonesian Buddhist family of New York. Got to stay with them about 5 or 6 months total over the couple years. And various other places. And of course with family too. That's one of the things that I have been lucky with as a nomad monk, is that I do have a family that does support me. And if I don't have any place to stay, well, I have family, which is a blessing on my part, even as a monk. But this last year, 2022, 2021, I even spent almost 5 months in California. 3 months Vasa with, at Aranya Bodhi, and then visiting various Abhayagiri and various bhikkhunis, things like that. So I've been, traveling pretty good. Things have been going pretty good until 2022, which is 2022 marked an interesting change in my nomad life. A couple of the places of the past couple of years that I had relied on to go stay for a couple of months, things just happened. Right? Actually, where I am right now with Bhante Rahula, Lion of Wisdom, in Maryland for a month and a half or so. I was supposed to visit him for a month last year, and that got canceled because there was various issues, various reasons, and other monks, and no room for me and things like that. And so that got canceled. And then I got COVID last year too, the beginning of last year. I ended up in quarantine. And so last year, the stuff, the farm is no longer, has changed. Due to anicca, the places that I depended on were undependable. And so I was like, oh, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? And so this past year, 2022, was interesting in that I ended up spending the whole year, except for 1 month, technically 2 months, because I did a month in Australia, but that's traveling. Except for 1 month, I stayed with my Indonesian friends in New York City. I did the whole year in New Jersey. Not what I wanted to do. Not what I planned at all. I mean, yeah, the only thing that is in New Jersey is family, really. I mean, other than that, if I never had to go back to New Jersey again, I'd be perfectly okay. But this is how it worked out. It worked out me in the first part of the year, spending a couple of months with family, and it was again, not something I planned, but I think it was something that kind of had to happen in a way. Because it's an interesting situation. My mom was very sick; she almost died, and I was with family a lot during that time, and it was good to be with my nephew and my sisters, and we discussed like life and death, and me being like the older brother kind of thing. Even still, at least my youngest sister, she does kind of look up to me. It's the way it's always been, right? Since so me being there when like in a dark time of the family was, I think it needed to happen. It was kind of almost like, I don't want to say meant to be, but it feels like the universe or whatever, or karma or whatever, just kind of killed off all the places I would be going so that I could be with my family. And now my mom has recuperated and she's doing better. And I'm hoping that this year that means I can spend more time away and do traveling and doing different things. Well, we'll see how this year turns out. But 2022, so yeah, I was with family for a couple of months. And then I ended up spending about a month and a half at Empty Cloud with basically being the babysitter of the place while Bante, Sudaso, and Ayasoma were in Italy. And then I was invited to stay there for Vasa, in which I did. So I spent almost 5 months of last year, of 2022, at Empty Cloud, which was good, but it also had its own challenges, food and nutrition stuff and all kinds of stuff like that. My energy was not that great. I'm still recuperating. Actually, I'm still trying to find a good balanced energy. I'm being fairly energetic these days, which is why I'm even doing this video. Because these videos and things are things that I've planned in my mind, but it just never felt right. It never felt the proper time, place, energy, etc. came together for me to do these things. And so yeah, that was basically my year last year. And, I do have to admit, it's been a good lesson, because there is a fear in me of like, well, where would I stay? Why? I don't want to, because I don't want to rely too much on my family and all these kind of things. I do want to be able to move on and things like that. And I wonder, well, how much longer can I do this nomad thing? And maybe is my nomad life turning into a new phase? Or is it ending? I don't know. It's kind of very open. So it's been a good lesson for me, and because I'm a planner, I like to know things in advance. I'd like to have my, like it's January 20 something. I would love to have the rest of my year planned out. From July to March, I'm going to stay here. From this to there, I'm going to stay there, etc. That's what I feel most comfortable in. I feel most comfortable when I have that plan. And even already, it's only January, and I've already had plans that were planned, and then plans changed. This is the thing. So this nomad life has been good, especially this past year, in training me to accept and be okay with not knowing where I'm going to be in a month or two. Because things usually work out. They really do. Things usually work out. At least that's what I tell myself sometimes. No, but in all honesty, they do tend to work out. And I remind myself of that. So yeah, how this year will go, I don't know. Right? Last year I did spend the month in Australia, and that was great. And there's a few things in the works for me to go places, and for a variety of reasons. But then it doesn't happen, or it gets pushed back and things like that. I'm supposed to go to Sri Lanka last year. We'll see if I go this year. Maybe going to Canada this year. We'll see if that happens. We don't know, right? There's plans, and people want to bring me places and things like that. And whenever I go, if I go, I'll go. So it's just kind of, until then, just we're focusing on myself, building Maggasekha. And so we'll see where that goes. I don't know where I'm staying for Vasa yet. I might know where I'm staying at least a couple months of this year so far. Month here, month there. We'll see what happens. This year still is kind of way up for grabs. We don't know. But so I guess I'll move on to Colorado, because in Maggasekha in Colorado. I'll talk about Maggasekha first. So Maggasekha is, the organization that I'm trying to build, although technically it's not an official organization. I don't want to make an official organization now and then move, and because people have told me, if you make one, if you incorporate or make an organization 501c3 in a state, then it might be a real pain in the butt to move to another state and all these things. So this is not an official organization, but I'm trying to set the groundwork for when it's ready to be an official organization. Right? Part of that is I've always kind of tied in my own growth, my own development with the growth of Maggasekha and development of Maggasekha. It's kind of like the Arthurian legend of how the king is connected to the land, right? If the king is thriving, the land is thriving, and vice versa. So part of developing Maggasekha is always about, am I developing myself? Right? And I'm continuing to do that, I feel. So I'm going back to Abhayagiri again for a week in April, and trying to find ways and places to be with other monastics, senior monastics, learning, developing myself. And of course, also the journey is developing me as well, this nomad journey. I just spoke about how I like to have things planned ahead well in advance, and this life is not allowing that to happen. And it's okay. It's okay. It's suffering for me but it's training. It's teaching me. And so I'm doing my best, and I think I'm doing okay. I could be doing a lot better, but I guess anybody can always say that they could be doing better. But I think I'm slowly going in the right direction. So I think it's going well in terms of my own practice, my own training, my own development. Slowly but surely. And in terms of trying to build, find a place where I would settle down and things like that, obviously, Colorado has been my main focus. But also lately, I've always had in the back of my mind, Colorado might not work out. You have to think of a backup place. And, I think maybe Vermont or different places, but I also have to make sure that I'm open, because many places start from just people inviting a monk, right? So, and I don't know. So I'm open to, if somebody says, come start Maggasekha in this state or that state, I'm open to that possibility. Although, I do kind of want to be able to be in the mountains. It doesn't have to be the Rocky Mountains, but I quite like the mountains and the forest and nature and things like that. And, I'd like to be able to have a monastery and die there, That would be great, to die in the mountains. Um, but anyway, so I'm open to where I might end up being. I still like the center of the country, if Colorado doesn't work out. But we'll have to see how my life turns out. I don't know. Right? We can plan and we can set the groundwork and we can guide, but there's so much of it that is not up to you. Right? There's so much that's not up to you. So Colorado is interesting. You know, I've only really been doing, kind of focused on Colorado for maybe a year and 3 or 4 months. And there's a part of me that's kind of like, go, go, go. We have to, move. That feels like I'm not really progressing in Colorado. But then when I look at it from the other perspective, well, it's been like a year and a couple of months. I've already visited multiple times. Like I set the goal to visit Colorado twice a year for the next couple of years. And so far that goal has not happened. Last year was only once, and once the year before that, the end of 2021. So I'm a little disheartened with the goal thing. But again, I have to kind of let go and say, well, this kind of has to flow how it'll flow as well. So, being behind on my plans, that kind of gives me a little bit of a disheartening. And also, losing, I had a good family support out there that I could stay when I would visit, and now they've moved out. So that was a tough thing. It's good for them. Makes it harder for me for developing Colorado. But so I'm at the point now where it's like, I want to visit, but if I don't have a place to stay, then I don't even visit. So, it's kind of like it's not up to me. At this point, I'm only doing what I can do, and we'll have to see how it turns out. There's irons in the fire. There's possible places like getting connected with the Thai community, Taiwan, Colorado Springs, and things like that. So there's possibilities, but it's all up in the air right now. And as I've already said, I don't like when things are up in the air. So it's a good training for me. I don't know how it's going to turn out. But yeah, I think actually in one way, and part of me feels like I haven't progressed much. And another part is like, wow, I'm doing pretty good for only a year and a half. The main Denver and the Boulder groups have had me do Zoom teachings with them twice each. So I've done, like last year, I did 4 Zoom teachings with Colorado groups, which is great. So I don't know. I don't know how Colorado is going to turn out. But as I always say, one of the things that I do every day, I have a set of aspirations that I speak out loud to myself, reminding me who I am and what I'm doing and why I want to do it, like, following the path, becoming awakened, being a monk, etc. And one of the things that I always reflect on is that even if Colorado doesn't work out, all of the things that I'm doing to develop myself and to build Maggasekha will be beneficial to myself and others, no matter where I end up, right? So we'll see. My intuition is usually almost always right, though. But it could be wrong this time about Colorado. We'll have to see. It's still early. It's still early days. I wanted to at least try to maybe be living out there by the time I'm a Terra. So in another 4 years or so, that's the plan. I'm not trying to live out there next year. Although if it does happen, if randomly it happens, hey, Bante, come, live in Colorado, I'll go. I'll go in a heartbeat, no problem. But I'm giving myself these years to have this nomad life, to develop myself, and to build up the base of friends and support in Colorado that will allow me to actually go to Colorado. So we'll see. And, who knows? Maybe, I spend years doing Colorado. It doesn't work out. Somebody invites me to some other state, and that's where I end up staying. I have no idea. This is the nature of things. So let's see, I've covered last year, a little bit of this year, covered Colorado, covered Maggasekha. I think things are in general going okay. Things are in general going well. Um, as usual, I tend to have more ideas and desires to do activities than I end up actually doing due to energy and time and things like that. Um, that's a tendency I've always had. Always wanted to do more than I can. I always have to try to remind myself I have to do what's most important with the limited time that I have. And so that's what I've been trying to do. I think that's good for our state of Maggasekha nomad life in Colorado for 2022. And I'll make one of these again next year, see how I go, how I am at the end of 2023. And I do have to also make another video. It's going to kind of coincide with this, but be a bit more specific. I haven't made a 5 years as a monk or a 6 years as a monk for my Journey into Homelessness series. So I have to do another one. I have to do that soon. I haven't done one since the Nomad life. So that's going to be an interesting one. All right, friends. Well, thank you very much for coming along with me on this journey of developing Maggasekha and supporting me, which has been amazing as a nomad monk, a single monk out on his own. The generosity of people has been amazing, right? I remember Ajahn Brahm telling me those years ago, trusting karma to provide, and he's right. I reflect on that all the time, trusting karma to provide. And so thank you all very much. Much merit to you all. And hopefully together we can grow this Maggasekha, and it'll be something that's of great benefit for all the people in the Americas who wish to learn and study and practice the Dhamma. So, Sukhi Hotu, friends. Practice well and be well.